Hi there crafters, Louise with you today. Thanks for checking out this video. This might be the last share for the Vicky Booten Flower Emporium collection. I'm starting my work on Scraptember projects, which is a YouTube hop coming up in September, and each day has a different prompt. So once I start to work on that, I will probably put this aside. Actually, I may even use some of this for that Scraptember. So that would be a great way to keep watching and see how I create with this collection. Now, I had to go through and give my desk a bit of a tidy, reposition. I had papers everywhere, I had embellishments everywhere, so I've just sort of stacked it up to see what I had left, and I'm going to now flick through. So this layout was actually inspired by those two strips of blue, and I sort of stopped to think about what I could do with those two blue strips, and the first thing that came to my mind was these little banners. This is such a fun technique, and one that I've done before, where basically you just take different size pieces of paper. It's a great way to use scraps, and I like to cheat with my banners. So if you're not familiar with this little technique, I like to simply fold them in half, just roughly, and then snip a banner with my scissors. So I mean, you could measure them out and do them properly if you wanted to, but this gives me a really kind of interesting grungy effect. And you can see I'm cutting a few different sizes, some wider ones, some thinner ones. I'm going to go through with a whole different bunch of patterned papers and repeat that same process. Now, I definitely could have stuck this down off camera while I cut those banners, but I wanted to show you just pardon me, the quite simple way that I do that. And now that I've tucked them all in behind, I'm just going to pop some adhesive on that backing paper and just lay them down and stick them. Now, you'll find that because some are tucked in and around, they don't completely stick, but you get the general gist of it, in which case you can turn it over, add some adhesive, and everything is attached and stuck down. Now, this little fella that I'm about to stick on the right-hand side, he should have actually gone on the left-hand side where he fell out. So I have to do just a little bit of repositioning there, but certainly once the final layout's achieved, you don't necessarily notice or even miss that particular element. All right, I've chosen a photo, and it's at this point where I feel like my photo is getting a little bit lost in this really busy background. So I like to separate my photo in some form from my background, and it might be mixed media, so it might be paste, it might be white gesso, it might be acrylic paint. So I have to find a way that I can separate that background and make sure that my photo is still the star. And this is where I sort of might pause a video and put it aside for a couple of days. This one definitely went aside for a couple of days, purely just because I knew it had to be black in the background, so I had to make sure that whatever I chose, it was going to be a dark color. I couldn't use white, so white gesso was out. I'd already shared a technique with you guys using black gesso to separate layers, so I'm always trying to think and to give you little techniques and ways that you can separate your photo layers from your background areas. And of course, you've already seen the finished layout, so I end up using a cut file, and in hindsight, I didn't cut the cut file big enough. I should have cut it bigger, but I'd already cut it and I didn't want to waste it, so I am going to make it work, and I'll show you that later in the video. But for the moment, I am embellishing around that cluster, making sure that my photo, creating areas of interest, lots of embellishments still left, lots of words and cut aparts, and that's what I'm just trying to get this collection almost busted, and I'm still creating layouts and using up this stash. All right, so we've got a couple of stickers incoming. The cluster looks good. I like the tag. I like the little area on the left. I feel like at this point I am sort of quite finished with my cluster. It's got words, it's got shapes, it's got a great title in terms of the happy. At the end of the video, I do actually add a little bit more to the cluster, and that's just how sort of layouts thoughts evolve when I'm creating. So sometimes I will feel like I'm finished, and then other times I might go, no, it's time to add a little bit more to that, depending on just how they flow and what happens while I'm creating. Now, these banners just needed, again, a little bit of black. They needed to be sort of grunged and lifted and just have a little bit of texture. So black pen to the rescue, and just scribbling some little doodles around that sort of tag banner sort of thing. And again, I'm adding a few more embellishments, and a lot of this is just purely because I don't know what I'm going to do in that background. I toyed with the idea of using a doily. I feel like the black and white sort of pattern that I've got going on there, it's quite busy, and I wanted something behind my photo, and I had to think about it. You can see the pondering in the video. I didn't cut any of that out. And it's at this point where you can see I've come back with this this heart that I've cut, and it's just not the right size. So I'm trying to make it fit. And I didn't want to lose the actual structure of the heart, so I had to get a little bit creative. And I mean, had you not seen this in a video, you probably wouldn't have known that this heart was cut and it didn't actually fit. So there are some sneaky little ways that when we're creating, we can still be quite effective without losing the way that we create. So that's my little tip. All right, still have lots of puffies, lots of little pieces left. I don't know if that I will ever bust this stash. There is so much in it, but certainly I'm trying my absolute best. And this is at that point where you can see where it's evolved. So, you know, I never had the intention of putting flowers into this little section behind that tag and that word happy, but you know, here it happens, and that's purely just putting that black heart in the background, makes little areas to embellish and helps with that visual points of the triangle. So adding a few more little bits and pieces around. This is a celebration of my boy's 12th birthday, so using up some of those numbers with the number 12, and this just really evolved, but I'm super happy with it. I think it was a great layout. It was fun to put together. I do really like how bold that black heart is, and I think it works really well. It really separates and draws your eye towards that photo, but you get the pops of color with those banners in the background. So I had lots of fun with this one, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. I love to see your comments, so if you're leaving them, thank you very much each and every time. Happy crafting, and I hope to be back with more creations soon.